Hi guys, MrRoflWaffles here. Bungie just finished up a lore panel at GCX where they talked about the making of the Edge of Fate and all sorts of stuff related to their narrative process. And they actually invited me to be a special guest for the panel. So the first maybe 30 to 40 minutes of this video is the main Bungie panel itself. And then the second part is a bit of Q&A with me asking questions to them. And then they kind of offered to let me do a whiteboard segment, but I kind of went off the rails and veered it into a direction that I don't think the devs were expecting, or they certainly didn't give me the green light to go there, but we went there anyway. I think it was a lot of fun. I really hope you enjoyed the video here. And without further ado, I'm gonna let it run in full. Enjoy.
Oh my goodness. Hello, everyone.
Good do it.
How are you?
Hello.
We're at GCX.
We're
raising money for kids. Thanks everybody for coming. Thanks everybody online that's tuning in. My name is Dylan Gaffner, DMGO4, used to be one of the community managers, and then I disappeared, and now I'm back, and I'm a comms guy. I have a bunch of wonderful devs on this couch today to talk about narrative. We just had The Edge of Fate come out, wonderful new characters, new story, all that kind of stuff, and we're going to dive into the process, so to speak, of how do we make these worlds that inspire friendship and the stories therein. So without further ado, let's get some introductions. Hello.
Hello.
Who are you?
Hi, my name is Allison Lures. I'm the narrative director for Destiny 2.
And next up.
Hi, my name's Hannah Filipski, and I am the narrative lead on Edge of Fate.
And last but not least, you can get a little closer, man. Maybe not a Bungie employee, but seemingly employed by doing raid races for 48 hours straight and things like that. Hello, Milo.
The fact that 48 hours is an understatement is kind of crazy. Yeah. Hi, everyone. Hi, guys.
Yeah, MrRoflWaffles, as you're known by many.
Yes, that's me.
Yeah, today we're going to be going through, we have a wonderful deck that we're going to be going through about, exploring the narrative craft. We're going to have some Q&A. We sourced a bunch of questions from y'all on the internet, of all places. We'll go through that. We'll have a little exercise that Milo will be taking part in with our devs to have a little bit of fun. And then we will also have trivia for folks in the audience. So without further ado, let's get into this panel.
Okay, I'm gonna stand up, otherwise I'm gonna vanish on the couch. Hi, everybody. All right, so I have a comical clicker. It's very large, and we're gonna get started. Hello and welcome. We're here to talk to you about D2's narrative craft with a focus on how we took the Edge of Fate from pitch to launch. Who are we? Like I said, my name is Allison Lures. I am the narrative director, and I've been with Destiny 2 for about 2.5 years. My first expansion was the Edge of Fate. No sweat. No pressure. The Edge of Fate, excuse me, it was Final Shape, sorry. Before that, I spent around 8.5, 9 years at Wizards of the Coast, working on Magic the Gathering, D&D. The last project I worked on was the D&D side of Baldur's Gate 3. Hey, I'm glad you liked it. I spent a lot of time at Magic, so if you got any Magic cards, bring them up and let's yell about Color Pies Theory.
Hi, I'm Hannah. I am the narrative lead on Edge of Fate, but I joined Bungie about 3 years ago, so I also worked on Final Shape with Allison, as well as a few other releases that we've kind of just touched. Before that, you may know some of the stuff I've done. I worked on a little game called God of War Ragnarok, a writer on God of War. And then before that, I worked at a studio called Night School. It was an indie studio, and I made a game called After Party, where these two college kids need to outdrink Satan out of hell. They gotta escape. That's us.
Yeah, so we're going to start off by talking about our narrative team's values. So before we get into the specifics, I kind of want to go over, what do we value when we make something? We believe that teams are stronger than heroes. No one person writes everything. No one person owns even every script assigned to them. We are a writing team. That's how we approach this, and we create our victories collectively. We believe that best idea wins. Doesn't matter if it came from the director or the associate. Everyone on the team contributes, and the best idea is the one that ends up winning in the end. The narrative lead and the director, we call shots when a shot needs to be called, but 95% of the time, the team organically aligns on direction. We love bad art. That doesn't mean that art is bad. We mean in the sense of we love drafts and crappy thumbnails. We love stuff before it's ready, because if we love something before it's ready, then that means that we can bring it and make it better as a team. So we love bad art. That's how we get the good art eventually. We also love rewarding lore knowledge while not gatekeeping. You may have heard me talk about this before, like the idea of making sure that we're rewarding the player for paying attention and spotting that lore drop from 3 years ago that you thought we forgot about and then we bring back like 3 years later. But we also don't want to gatekeep. We don't want you to feel like you have to study before you enjoy a story, that you're being brought along for the journey alongside us. And finally, we believe that play and story inform each other. This is something that Bungie's really good at, integrating that understanding of like what I am playing is also what's happening in the world. So having there be a story explanation for most things that you're going to encounter in the game. That's key to who we are just as a studio, and it's a big part of how we approach stories too. So spoilers ahead, Hannah?
Yeah, if you haven't played Edge of Fate yet, either run away or close your ears, close your eyes, get out. We're not pulling any punches here.
Be gone.
So yeah, every single bit of Edge of Fate. So last chance to go outside.
I saw one person stand up.
Okay.
Okay, great. Get out of here.
Have fun.
Skedaddle.
Okay, so what is the life cycle of our expansions? We have a few different steps that we take as we go through. Sorry, I'm looking at the wrong slide. No, sorry. We had some goals when we started making Edge of Fate. Our goals were super big. We had to start a new saga. So what were we gonna do? So first we wanted to wake up the fan base. Falling asleep. Good morning.
No sleeping.
Hello. We're here. The final shape is over. Destiny is dead. Nope, that's not correct. We killed JFK. Get back in here.
I have never heard a crowd cheer for a statement like that.
American history, yeah!
So we knew that the best way to do that was to break some rules. What hadn't the story done? What haven't we explored? What do we do that feels fresh? And what challenges can we bring Destiny 2 into without alienating all the rest of our players who've been with us for the last 10 years? And then with a fresh start, how do we make this a good entry point for players? How do we get people in who haven't experienced the last 10 years while making them feel welcome, while making them understand, hey, there is some lore here, but we're doing something new. And those are the goals that we set out with to make this expansion.
Yeah.
Oh, it's mine too. Okay. Okay, so how does this expansion get made? We've got our 4 little stages here, our green light, validation, experience complete, and release lock. So when we say green light, this is the first stage. It's where we find the little bits of what are we doing here? What are we trying to do? And discuss what we want to do and how we're going to confirm how we're going to move forward. We meet a lot and talk a lot about concepts, big, high concepts. Do we like this idea? And by now we're going to know probably the big beats of the story. The text is small and I'm very blind, I'm sorry. So next is going to go to validation, which is where we have, by now we know kind of what we're doing, by now we know what whereabouts the journey is going to be, but we're nailing down some of the higher concepts into smaller story beats, so we know some character arcs, we know the general direction of who's going to be there. And by now, we sort of had the full picture of what the story is we're going to tell. After that, we're going to reach experience complete. We've done a lot of work by this time, but everything's in the game. We get to see it represented as we're going to present it to you guys. And so by this time, we're saying, hey, is this game fun? Is it fun to play? Is the story interesting? Is it confusing? We're playtesting a lot during this period of time and usually having a good time doing it together.
Yeah, so, okay, now we're going to move into the part of the presentation where we get to show you some, behind the scenes, older stuff. So we dug into our docs folder to pull out the actual, pitch deck that we used for the Edge of Fate. And so we start with our vision. And these 3 things we can think of as our principles. So kind of the main foundational things that we were aiming for. And this is an actual screenshot of those early principles that we used. We believe that we start with a top line across all disciplines. So not just narrative, but also art and audio and design, since all of these different disciplines are also storytellers. They're telling the same story that we are. And so we know that we wanted this to be the entry point for the saga. We want to start from these principles, and we began with focusing on soul. We wanted to reignite aspiration and secure our home. And we blocked out the back half of that one because it's secrets for later. But we knew that whatever this new saga was going to be would be focusing on our home, even if that home was at the edge of the system. We also wanted to look outward. Destiny's really good at like looking at its own history, or kind of, I say, staring at its own belly button sometimes. Like we can really get in the habit of just looking at things that have already happened, rather than having a story that looks forward and propels us forward with momentum. We wanted to get Destiny's story moving again. And finally, we knew we wanted to talk about the 9. They've been a big factor in our back pocket for many, many, many years. And there's just a lot that wasn't really defined about them at the time. Sounds like a right place for exploration. We want new questions. We want big world building, and we want to encourage speculation. And so before we broke the story for Apollo, we decided to bring in some consultants. We brought in Dr. Moya McTeer, an astrophysicist, to help answer some questions for us. We knew that the 9 were really closely connected to the idea of dark matter, right? That's what they're made out of. And initially we thought the whole sequence was just going to be us quizzing her on dark matter, until someone asked the most important question that would eventually kickstart the entire saga, which is, what's it like to be a fourth dimensional being? And she got really excited and told us it means they can manipulate time like we can manipulate a piece of paper. And that was just the most electric sentence any of us had heard in a while, and it became the root of the next saga's story.
So after we figured out what we wanted to make, it's time to greenlight. It's time to prove that we have a plan. So what exactly is that? So first off, we have our key principles. So this is from the Apollo pitch deck. These are the principles that we wrote down. So what are those? So we have about 3 to 4 core principles throughout development. These can be both creative, they can be technical, they can be any other limitation you can think of. But they're supposed to be points for us to be able to look back at and say, when we're trying to make a decision that we kind of can't decide on, like, okay, well, what's the principle for this? And that usually helps make that decision really easy if we've done our jobs.
Yes.
We did.
And during this time too, as we're figuring out what our targets are, what our principles are, we're also starting to plot out what exactly the story is. What's it going to be about? What are the things that matter? And in order to do that, we like to think of stories as a fridge. Like a refrigerator, right? And as you're telling a story, you are stocking the fridge with characters and ideas and plot beats and little Easter eggs that's going to make one person somewhere go, holy crap, they remembered that. And then we get to go, yeah, we did. The fridge is a really handy tool in long-form storytelling. So not long-form as in like just this expansion, but also the saga overall. How do you keep coming up with ideas? How do you not get stuck? How do you make sure that there's still like something there for you to pull on? If we think about the fridge, and if we're telling a story and we're stuck, we don't really know what's gonna help solve this problem that we have, you open up the fridge and you see what's in there. Good storytelling is the art of listening. It's listening to what you have already said, and it's listening to what your audience wants. And so if you're doing both of those, and you're doing your homework and checking the fridge to make sure you can find all those cool, interesting things that may have been forgotten, you can start making sandwiches with all those ingredients. And that's how we tell a story. So combining novel ideas makes the audience feel smart for recognizing things and coming to their own conclusions, and it gives us creators a path out of moments when we get stuck.
So we've looked in the fridge. We've spent some time finding some nice...
Oh yeah, we're getting there. We're getting there.
A big question mark. We've looked in the fridge. We found some pickles, chili crisp. There's a ham sandwich in there. It's really tasty. What do we want to do with those principles? What do we want to do with our cast coming up? So we decided for The Edge of Fate, we wanted to create a new character. So character arcs are super important to us. We knew that we were going to be doing something with the 9, so our first point of order was like, who's a good person in the cast already to deal with the 9? So we knew Drifter, we've got the Hall, he's a great deal. Yeah, he's dealt with the 9, he knows what's up. Oren, obviously, he is an emissary. We had to bring the emissary back. Mara was an option on the table, but she's really important, and we didn't really want to send her. Go ahead.
She's too fancy. We're not going to send her to a dusty little ball. She's too fancy for that.
She's really busy. And why not Zur? Zur's selling you weapons. He's got a lot of
got a
lot of stuff going on. So this combination is going to help us find opportunities. So like, who was missing in this cast? So if we're telling a story about time, we need someone who can immediately connect to it. Someone we want to come up with someone who could fit right in. So we came up with the concept of time lost Tim.
That was the name that we used when we pitched this character with a straight face, yes.
Because it sucks and we won't ship with it. I love all you Tims out there, but we can't be
Time lost Tim. Yeah.
No. So what else could we do with Time Lost Tim? It'd be really cool to explore if he was from the past, if he knew someone before they were a guardian. And if so, like what character like would be most upset to learn they got messed with by the Nine? Who in our cast would possibly be angry that someone tried to control them? Spoiler alert,
Spoiler alert, yeah. It's Ikora. She would be the most angry to learn that she was being messed with by somebody else. And
she's right.
And she's right, yeah. Reveals should come from the fridge too. When we're doing some kind of big reveal, it should be building on a base of knowledge that the player already has and opening up a little side door that you had no idea was there. So we had the thought of, what if Time Lost Tim knew someone that we know? Who would be the most interesting choice? We also asked, like, what would that say about Time Lost Tim and this other person? That's a really charged relationship. It instantly creates a unique connection, and that connection would define the release. We also asked, what if we don't get to have that big showdown with 3 at the end? What happens if we turn the promise of you're gonna go meet a god into God's dead? What are you gonna do? That's a lot more exciting. And so we made the conscious choice to do all of those reveals. And we also made the conscious choice for this to be a time travel story. So a story about time doesn't really work if the time travel isn't super duper obvious. If Time Lost Tim just came from the Golden Age, he visually doesn't really look that different from everybody else that we're talking to so far. But if it's a much more obvious difference, it brings up a lot more interesting questions. So we wanted it to be obvious to the player at first glance. Destiny's in-world history earlier than roughly like 2014 is a gigantic question mark. The history of the City Age, the Dark Age, the Golden Age, all of it's been really well tread in lore, but earlier is this giant empty sandbox to play in. So we decided, like, yeah, we want a character from before the Golden Age. That's pretty exciting. And that opens up an even scarier question of when. Like, when makes the most sense for the character and when helps us, the player, not think it's a giant joke. We didn't want for Time Lost Tim to be walking around going, what's a computer? Like, we couldn't pull someone from, like, the 1700s because that's just too ridiculous. But we also didn't want it to come off as, like, a winky in joke by bringing someone forward who is more familiar to the player's eyes. Say someone from 2002 or someone from 1995, where it becomes instead more of like a cool, fun self-reference rather than an actual story. And so the 60s felt like the right time. It was the right level of technology. We'd be able to share a lot of knowledge with this character, and we would get to have some really fun language and cultural references, and be able to have the magical moment where Time Lost Tim knows something that our current people don't. So we get to delight in recognizing the world through his eyes. And in the Edge of Fate, you see us setting up a new kind of narrative delivery system as well. We call it the narrative text box. It's those handy little text boxes that come up when you want to go chat to somebody. And with this, we were able to open up wholly new venues for story in ways that we couldn't before. So we saw this as the perfect opportunity to meet lots of new characters without flavor blasting our VO budget at the same time. So we wanted a new society of humans with presence in the world, a culture all their own and distinct characters that we can talk to. Dean Rebecca is a familiar face with a charmingly youthful name. You might be able to piece together that the Ionians have studied the manipulation of time. And if you're really paying attention, you can figure out that they used it on themselves. Their lifespans were similar to people in the Golden Age. And at the age that they set them, and their age is what they kind of set for themselves. Our friend, Dean Rebecca, though you can't really tell with the mask, has spent hundreds of years at age 17.
And really quick on this slide, I want to give a shout out to artists at Bungie.
Absolutely.
This is actually some concept art. I don't know if we've shared this. So hey, enjoy.
We actually did. This was one of the first pieces that we showed.
Oh, I love it. Yeah, I remember going through all those, but seeing them pair with the narrative has been amazing.
Yeah. And we got some more lore drops for you, too. So we knew what we want to make, and now it's time to make it. So let's focus on Time Lost Tim for a moment. When we initially pitched him, he's a hard pitch because his description is bananas. Time-traveling federal agent is a hard sell. And the biggest question that we got was, well, a character from the 60s, is that Destiny? And so naturally, hell yeah it is. Let's prove it. So we proved it by making certain that his core was unquestionably Destiny. His foundation had to align with what makes Destiny as a story kind of distinct. And those are three things in my mind. It's making sure that he's connected to the IP-specific peoples or characters. It's also making sure that he's equally optimistic in spite of the situation that he's in. And finally, the other thing that solidifies Destiny is those big sci-fi level questions of identity and the self. Whoever this character is had to have that be part of them too. So our first big choice was deciding what trope space he lived in. Tropes are powerful. They aren't universally a bad thing. They're kind of a shorthand way to communicate a complicated idea, right? The rowdy gunslinger, the haunting witch, the tortured commander. So who is Time Lost Tim? And where we landed was he's a few tropes. He begins as our fish out of water, but by the end of Edge of Fate, he'll move into his more permanent slot, which is the god who is also your friend. But he's not just our friend, he's a character on his own. And what better Blorbo is there than the good man who suffers and suffers and suffers? We wanted a character whose goodness was in spite of the horrible situation he's in. And he needed a name, because boy, Time Lost Tim is just not cutting it. So we knew we needed a name that was unquestionably Destiny 2, and we knew it had to have connections to Earth, the old Earth, in some way. Yes, we can sort of look to Creedence Clearwater Revival's Lodi as inspiration for the name, but more so what the band members said about the song, which is they chose the name because, man, Lodi just sounds like a cool name. And they're not wrong, it's a really cool name. And so us on the team started chatting about well, what if it was like a Smallville situation where Lois calls Clark Smallville because it's kind of making fun of him, but also really charming? What's a city or a town that we could pull from? And turns out there's a couple of Lodis around the country. There's one in California, there's a couple here and there. And then we saw that there was one in Wisconsin. And we went, yeah. Our boy's from Wisconsin. So Lodi, Wisconsin is the name that he took his nickname from. Originally, probably his college friends would make fun of him if he didn't know how to ride the subway, but he kept it because it's pretty charming. Also, I don't know who Susie the Duck is, and I hope she's okay.
I've done research into this and I still don't know.
We don't know. No one knows.
We love Susie. So we've got validation. What is validation? This means that we've got the right story plan, and it's time to really sit down and do the work, and also tell ourselves you are valid.
You are valid.
You are valid.
You
yes,
are.
Good job. All of you. You've done so
valid.
good.
Great work. That was my computer background for 8 months. I love our Midwest princess so much.
So we had the name. Now we had to make the memes. There's a couple of ways we go to figure out characters as a story team. And while it is very funny that it's hey, there's a Midwest princess up there, these are all things that inform how we write this character. So like, what if the guy who got pulled from time was like weirdly qualified? Allison said we didn't want to be like, what's a computer? So like, but what if he was like, yeah, I know that aliens exist. What if someone, oh my gosh, what if someone with, yeah, he was familiar with aliens, what if he also went to the future? How does he distinguish himself from the rest of our cast? The big questions that we pose in Destiny. So we got to working. And a lot of times we just kind of like noodle around and figure out our story stuff. So inspiration comes from the internet, it comes from many places, and it helps us to kind of visualize that in different ways. So Allison's Polyglots record collection, we love making Spotify playlists.
We really
all
do.
of the characters
A
have
lot.
them.
Yeah.
And that was, it's not meant to be something that like all of these songs apply to this person, but it's like, hey, what does he have like in his house? And that can always help you inform like who this person ends up being. And then you'll see the post-it note. I was riffing. I went into a fugue state on the Miro board, and I said that, oh, he's a Green Bay fan. So, when he talks about the Bears.
Yeah, and the fun too of like playing this game of just being playful with the rest of the writers team is that you end up coming up with some like actual answers for things sometimes. I remember one question that came up is like, well, he's from the 60s. That means social norms are pretty different. Why isn't he married? And that led to the really fun joke of like, well, he had a fiance and then suddenly she won the lottery and moved away. It's so weird. And then there was that girlfriend before who also just ghosted after she inherited an estate in Portugal. Oh, and then there's the other one who also vanished in some weird. He's so unlucky. It's just so weird.
It just happens that way.
It just happens.
Okay, so it's time to take all of the planning that we've done and turn it into what we call a one-pager. This is supposed to be a really easy way for people to just experience what our story was. So when we do this, we check the fridge, and we make sandwiches. We make our sandwiches, yum. Let's see, so our important things to us is that we want to reward players for paying attention. We never want to punish people for like not knowing what's going on, but also, hey, if you remember that lore from like 10 years ago and we like call back to it, like, hey, we want to congratulate you. You did a great job. And then we assign, and then we have a bunch of assignments that we send out, and each of our biomes, specifically in Edge of Fate, ended up having some sub-themes. So when we started the Fate saga, we wanted a bunch of sub-themes to explore what fate means to each of our characters. So one of the questions for the Outer Steps was who's driving the car? Who's in control of your fate? One of the questions for the Central Academy is who am I supposed to be? Who am I meant to be? One of the questions of the Exiles Accord is like, what if I'm destined for failure? What if I'm gonna do a bad job? And then for the Gorge, what are you gonna do now that you're free? Which is Orin's big question.
Yeah, and here's one more a fun thing that we dug up. We dug up the casting sheet for Lodi. I'll let you.
Yeah, so we're getting to writing, and we decided to pull up how we ended up casting our Lodi. We changed the names so that we can kind of remain a little anonymous about who the character is. So when actors get these, it's called Levi, just in case. And then we give this to them. So we usually have like some info about them, their age, their gender, how they talk, so their manner of speech. And then some of their personality traits, and a couple of like quotes, some really quick quotes about like how they would talk to get a cool audition out of it.
Yeah, and so when we were casting, we got hundreds of auditions, many of them really leaning into the G-man aspect of Lodi, like very gruff and military men like Tommy Lee Jones-ish and like Liam Neeson-ish, like really like hardcore guys. But because of this character's attributes and because the way that their situation is shaped is so heightened and exaggerated, we needed a performance that was as grounded and naturalistic as possible. Otherwise, we knew he was going to read as a joke. So when Lodi grieves the fact that every person he has ever met is now dead, we need to be able to connect with him. And we needed a performance that was rooted in that experience. And the second that we heard Brian Villalobos' audition, we knew we had our guy. He's here, by the way, in the audience somewhere. Brian, where you at? Yay! There he is. He's great. Brian has the extraordinarily rare gift of being able to say sci-fi deranged mumbo jumbo and always make it sound normal. I don't know how he does it. It's amazing. But we cast him, flew him out to Sweden, scanned his face, and now everybody gets to be as obsessed with this character as we are.
So then we wrote the thing. And then we got feedback for it, and then we rewrote other parts of it, and then we got more feedback, and then we rewrote more and rewrote more. But through all of that is what the expansion that you're playing today. Sometimes, oh my gosh.
You're doing great.
Okay, yeah. No, sometimes we jam out together. Sometimes we throw ourselves in a room, and sometimes we are like, okay, like I'm riffing with you, I'm doing a little bit of improv, and we're able to write a script out that way. Sometimes we go into a hole and then come back and say, I got into a few things, and here's what I came up with. But the thing is like we're always coming back together as a team, reviewing together, and making sure we all feel good about the thing that we made at the end of the day. Oh, and I'm still. Okay, so we ask ourselves a bunch of questions as we're writing throughout our process. Some huge ones. So is it baffling? Does this make sense to you? Is there anything that you're reading, a word that you don't understand, a metaphor that you're not getting? What is confusing to you? Those can be big things, those can be little things. We're always interrogating that with each other. Is it boring? Are you snoozing while we're in our writer's room? Like, are you how do we, if it's not working, like what can we do to wake it up? And is this driven by characters making choices? So we have a plot, we have the plan that I've talked about, but like at the end of the day, like you're a person doing things in the world. Our characters are making these choices that are pushing them towards their action. So what are we doing to like respect that? And then what feeling do we want to invoke in the audience? Which is something that, as the end of the saga, we were like, hey, we want everybody to come back to this and feel excited about it. So our big goal was like making people feel comfortable coming back and excited to see what was next. Oh, it's okay. I was like, what's going on?
Sneak peek.
Yeah, a couple other questions. So is there momentum in the scene? Does the scene feel like it's going anywhere? A lot of times we'll play with like power dynamics and see, who starts out knowing a bunch of stuff at the beginning and who feels kind of on top at the end. That dynamic is what makes a scene feel like it's being propelled forward. It makes you excited to like see what happens next. And then what do the characters want to do? What's going on? What is pushing them forward? All those motivations are going to play into how they make their choices.
Yeah. And so what you played is the result of all of that teamwork and craft. Ikora discovers who she is, Lodi embraces the future, Drifter ends up a silver fox, and 3 has charged us with diverting extinction by binding the 9. Whatever that means. Who knows? But most importantly, the story is yours now. It belongs to you to make into memes and fanfic and edits and all kinds of art on your own. We hope that you enjoy playing with this world as much as we enjoyed making it. Thank you all. You have beautiful bosuns and fetching fermions. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
And really quick, just one more round of applause for our time-lost Tim, who is here in the audience. There are so many things that come together to make narrative absolutely insane, between writing, execution, all the art behind it. So what's the phrase? It used to be like it takes a village, but really it takes a city. And it's insane. So right now, we're going to question time. We sourced some questions, not just from our good friend Milo, and I'm going to start with you, actually. I'm going to put you in the hot seat. But yeah, we put out a question, what narrative things do you have? We aren't going to be talking about game design. We're not going to be talking about other things. This is going to be, let's talk about the story. So Milo, take it away.
Sure thing, thank you. So, through your presentation just now, a few things that come to mind that I'm especially curious about in your process. One of them is the situation you're in, creating this fantastical, wonderful story, kind of gives you options to do whatever you want sometimes. Like, you've got so much potential in this universe.
Oh yeah.
And I'm curious how you maintain discipline in the moments where you could say, oh, there's just a sci-fi reason for this, and it's just that. It's just a god chose for this to happen. Oh, the 9 just wanted this to happen. Versus you being like, yeah, it's important that Lodi's ex-girlfriend inherited a mansion in Portugal, and then that happened 7 more times. And like when is it a scenario of, yes, it's divine intervention, And when is it, oh no, this is going to end up being a story thing that is crucial for us to nail in reality?
Deus Ex Machinas are dangerous. It's an easy trope. It's why that tool has existed since humans have been telling stories, since the very beginning. If something's wrong, a god comes down and solves it, and suddenly it's there. Or a god comes down and makes the problem, and suddenly you have to deal with it. I think for us, making sure that we're sticking to our principles is the important part. And if one of our principles is our story should be about characters making choices, and I think we have to be very, 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 very careful when there's that kind of intervention from above. Because that robs our characters of agency, right? Like, it turns them into just like pawns instead of being characters moving in the world and making choices for themselves. And so if we ever do have that moment, same as in any story about a pantheon of the gods coming to intervene in daily life, there has to be a very good reason, and most importantly, there have to be repercussions of that intervention too. Yeah.
The only thing I want to add to that is that we respect our rules. Good sci-fi has a lot of rules in place. That it's not always like, and here's the Bible of what happens. But if we are saying like there is a pantheon of gods, like what are their limitations? Like they're creatures in the
What can't they do?
What can't they do? And respecting that at the end of the day. So letting these crazy things happen, but while saying like, okay, but here's where it stops, here's where it ends, and delighting in where that leads us.
So does that mean, as you've been defining what this new saga is going to be over the next multi-year journey, have you re-examined what the pantheon looks like in Destiny, what the sort of power structure might look like, and sort of said, what are our rules? How do we define them for the next X number of years?
Absolutely. And I would say like a very large percentage of our writers' room conversation is usually, can this happen? Should this happen? What are the rules if this does happen? What rules are this breaking? We do a lot of internal weighing of what is plausible within our own rule set. And if we do decide, like, actually, it makes more sense if we do break a rule, we need to find a way to do that in a way that helps the story and doesn't just make you feel like a dummy because I knew the rules. Why did you break that just now? So we want to respect our players' intelligence at the same time.
And Allison talked earlier about how best idea wins. We are always interrogating this stuff in the writer's room together. Everybody has a say here. And when we say, like, can this happen? People often have different opinions on, like, here's this lore reason why, here's this character reason why. We are always interrogating, like, is there a specific reason why we want to go with this idea? And we always decide that together. We make sure everybody feels good about it.
Awesome.
Cool. This is a more broad question. But which character is your favorite to write? And yeah, each of you go ahead.
Oh man, in this release and in recent stuff, I love writing Lodi. I love writing him. He's so familiar and also so warm. It's nice to write a character who sees the world as it ought to be and gets personally offended when it's not. He's a lot of fun. It's also very fun to write Drifter, just because like his voice is so distinct. I'm pretty sure that you could take any of our writers, put like a blindfold on them, and they'd be able to just send out a bunch of fantastic Drifter lines. He's such a distinct character. His voice is really easy.
In Edge of Fate, Lodi was like the breakout like star. But my favorite's always been Ikora. I love her so much. She's so powerful, and we wanted to challenge her. So it's like, I want to figure this out. What would wake her arc up?
Yeah. There's some characters that are harder to learn than others. It takes, if we have a new writer joining us, it usually takes a second to learn how to write Eris well, because her Erisisms are so, her PhD in whatever form of English that she speaks is so distinct. It takes a little while to get your handle on it. Others?
I love sad dads. I like writing Zavala a lot.
Zavala's fun.
It's so good.
It's a good time.
Oh, I don't write any characters, admittedly.
You're good.
But just to jump on the Drifter bandwagon for just a moment, I'm curious, with a character like the Drifter, who's been around for so long, in this story, he plays an extremely important part, but a lot of it's off-screen. And I'm curious what the decision-making process there is for, like, how much of this can we afford to show the player? How much of this can we involve the player in? And how do you work with the gameplay team to say, okay, this does have space in the gameplay arc that we're going to be debuting in the Edge of Fate versus yeah, this is going to be an extremely important off-screen story that then leads to a massive moment at the end of the story there.
Yeah, it's a math equation. It's figuring out like, okay, looking holistically at our story, what are the most critical points of focus, and which ones make most sense as being a secondary or a tertiary point of focus. If we were to make this entire release about it's Drifter in the hall, hauling away, like, is there enough juice there for an entire story?
Yes.
Or if we were to treat that as a secondary story to maybe set up Drifter for an arc in the future, would that make more sense? We made our choice based off of a holistic view of which points of focus make sense, because if we put focus everywhere, you just kind of get a muddy mess of not really knowing what the story was about.
Cool. Okay.
Killed it. That's the answer.
All right, this question comes from, my name is Bife. Everybody give a shout out to Bife, he couldn't attend. And for those online, you may not know Bife, but he is seen as the lore master kind of for the Destiny community. He's made a ton of awesome content. Yes, lore daddy, I get it.
There you go.
So Bife asks, if Lodi is the third iteration of the Emissary, according to the third iteration scout rifle, that new exotic that was amazing and maybe a little too amazing at launch,
It's really good.
was Xur the first?
Yes. Yeah. Yes, he was. The Nine are these unknowable gods, and they don't know us very well. They're not great. They've made mistakes just like you and me. You know, they're just like us. And throughout the ages, they've tried to communicate with us in many ways, and Xur was the first attempt at that, and it went very well, without a hitch. I have no notes on how that went.
And let's spin the wheel.
Yeah, the first iteration wasn't perfect. It wasn't exactly what they needed. They ended up with a guy with face tentacles who doesn't have a will of his own. Xur is great for selling us things, but Xur isn't the emissary that they needed, and so they found Orin. Orin did a pretty dang good job. She was able to take to the process pretty easily, but she has just a hair too much will. She wanted to quit, and she did. And so I imagine that the Nine were like, okay, so first one, not so much. The second one, she quit on us. The third one, what if we orchestrate this from the start? Like, what if we were to find exactly the correct candidate, no matter when on our chronology they fall? And so they had to dig back 1,000 years-ish or so in order to find the right guy.
Cool.
Speaking of, I'm curious, in a situation like that, with a character like Lodi, and with lore that we've seen from the Collector's Edition, which involves is it the Department of External Observation? Yep, the DEO. They are a branch of the US government in the 60s who are keeping tabs on things, let's say. They're doing some observation of strange matter, they're doing some observation of all sorts of other unusual abnormalities in the world.
Accounting.
Yeah, and accounting, yes, yeah. And I'd love to just talk a bit about that department and then also branch into some other bits and pieces with them, because I'm a massive fan in sci-fi of the trope of an organization that is multifaceted and just investigates everything unknown to us in our normal lives. And it's such a great narrative vehicle to be able to say, okay, that means that we can do the Bigfoot episode, and we can do the episode on the strange monster that lives under the ocean, and we can do another one on some kind of Cthulhu thing, and you just go through the sort of laundry list of different monsters and oddities around the place. So with the DEO, was that kind of the intention of like, well, this just gives us 1,000 new things to kind of play with from actual history or from conspiracy history? Like, is that where you kind of started with it, or where did that come from?
Sort of. We initially thought of them as NASA meets Men in Black. Like,
Okay.
what if we took Destiny's like inherent optimism of wanting to make friends with the universe and wanting to like reach out and learn something from the world around us, and put that in the context of this historical moment, and it led to a really interesting combination of qualities. Because you're right, like it opens up up a ton of new options and things to explore. But what keeps it rooted is that optimism, that sense that director William Moffat says of like, we need to make friends, and that's going to be our mission.
To actually piggyback on that,
Yeah.
I want to quote your own work here.
Well, we're-
'Cause I think it's beautiful. This little strand of something I noticed in what you've done. The DEO's almost mission statement ends with this sentence, which is, the universe is cold and dark and lonely. We need not make it more so.
Yes.
And 3's dying words, opening line as it dies, and we see that in the end cutscene, is essentially, you stand here such that I would not die alone again. And so the DEO's goal weirdly lives on through Lodi, and in that moment is there for Lodi, and they succeed in that mission of helping 3 not die alone.
They do.
And I was just like, that's awesome, man. Like, that's so cool that
Thank you.
just a line in the collector's edition lore would have this symbolic coming of closing the loop moment in the end cutscene of the game. Like, I thought that was so awesome.
Yeah, we believe in treating all text as interconnected inside of this larger world. There isn't throwaway text. We don't just write something and assume like, no one's gonna read this. We wanna make sure that this world feels alive, and that when we are telling a holistic story, it's across all of our narrative vehicles that we have. And so introducing that notion, that wonderful nugget of like the most earth thing is to not want to be alone, and finding ways to explore that in ways that aren't remotely human and yet are at the same time was something we were really excited by.
Oh yeah.
So to bring it down a notch, you all just said some really smart stuff. The DEO feels like, in your fridge explainer, it is the rotisserie chicken from Costco, because there's a lot going on there and
It's
a lot
a whole
to pull.
drawer in the fridge. Yeah, it's all the stuff. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, shout out to Carlos back home at Bungie. Costco. Everybody loved that, right? So let's get a couple more questions in here. Do Guardians loadout swap and lore? I'll take that one. Dredge and Yor, maybe? No. Oh, we're gonna keep it to other narrative stuff. Loadout swapping, come on. Who was the train conductor? Are they also technically part of the 9? Are there any plans to turn the train into an exotic? So I'll say, let's focus on the first 2 parts of that question.
What do you mean? What do you mean? The end of the question is the most important part there.
Well, that's loot. We're here to talk about the story.
I love the image of Maya in like a Thomas the Tank Engine, like she's gonna go around on the train.
This is a sparrow, obviously. It's
Yeah. Oh, we need a train sparrow. Yeah.
That's gonna happen now.
You know those mod videos where they take Thomas the Tank Engine and make them like the dragon in
Yes.
Skyrim?
Yeah.
It's like, yeah. But
I love that
my
question.
favorite meme.
yeah, when we were going through it, Cosmo and I were just talking through it. It's like, we cannot avoid this question. This is the question. I mean, so that is a joke question, but I mean, like,
I love it.
do you have any? How do you feel about it?
No, I have no thoughts other than I want Maya to drive a train. That sounds great.
I have a weird thing to add on here from some other media. I don't know if you guys have read Master and the Margarita.
No.
Oh, you really should. It's great. Now that you've said no, I'm like, I don't want to spoil things in it because it's a wonderful novel. But there is a moment in the opening chapter of this book, this classic book, where there's an accident that is not so accidental, and it's meddling of the devil and the devil's forces that caused this thing to happen. And it really felt like it had some parallels with what happens with Ikora, because it's this deeply tragic moment that actually she's just completely innocent of. She could never have known that was going to happen to her. And in those moments of tragedy, really, I'd love to hear how you ensure that, like when you're, for example, even beating up Lodi over and over and over and over and over again, how you make sure that you maintain the faith of the audience, the faith of the viewer, to be like, well, if he's just a punching bag, he's actually no longer 3-dimensional. He's just an object of pain.
100%.
So how do you give the three-dimensionality there.
Yeah, the agency is always
Yes.
the key here. So if we're going to take away agency from a character in the way that we did with Lodi and the way that we did with Ikora, the goal is not to make them feel powerless and just take them down a peg for that reason. It's to show their strength and how they've responded to it. Ikora has this really wonderful monologue later on after she learns her history where she says I'm still me. I mourn the person who died, but every choice that I have made, the Nine are not going to take that away from me, even if they've orchestrated all of this stuff. And giving them those moments to grow as a result of those challenges is where all of the interesting, we talk about perspective, that's where that comes from.
No, I think you said it really well. Yeah.
Cool.
All right.
Hell
I mean, let's close off on something that people have been asking for a while, since the end of the final shape. How's Zavala doing? Where's he been?
That's a really good question. So Zavala is still commander. When 3 refers to Ikora as commander, that's in 3 vision, right? That's seeing something that hasn't happened yet. Zavala's been in the background. You can tell from a couple of our lore tabs so far, and some to come too, that he has kind of receded from public view ever since he lost his light. He's going through a lot, and I think the reason why he is being kind of away from the main point of view right now is because he's going through a lot right now. Do you want to add anything?
No, I miss him, and I would
miss him
love to
too.
bring him back, but yeah, he's going through it. We miss Targe.
Yeah. And we left him
Rest in
off
peace
with
to a real one. Yeah.
the end cinematic where he was knitting with Kaital. So he's just vibing.
Yeah.
So, all right. Now I believe it is whiteboard time.
Well, there is no whiteboard right now, so we're gonna have to.
Oh,
we're
wait.
gonna have to figure things out a little.
Maybe.
Okay.
A digital
thank you.
whiteboard.
I'm gonna in real time try and figure out if this is whiteboardable. Oh, that's a good start.
Oh, it's
The
so real.
concept.
That's a good
So
start.
real.
That's
I'm gonna set the stage here.
Hello. Yay.
Over lunch, we were discussing what can we whiteboard.
Yes.
What if we whiteboarded the assassination of a former president? And I had to stand up and say,
Listen, that was where I wanted to go with this. Okay, how about I propose this? You guys can let me know whether this is a good or a bad idea for me being able to return to this country in the future. So, in the collector's edition lore of The Edge of Fate, there is a document which outlines some pertinent details of that fateful day in 63. We all know the one I'm talking about. And the document in question from the DEO outlines that there seemed to be some kind of unusual pattern found in the autopsy or what have you.
the autopsy of the chicken sandwich that Lodi was eating, right?
The chicken
Yeah.
sandwich, yes, exactly.
In
the chicken
Illinois,
sandwich.
Yeah.
many
Yes.
miles away.
Yeah, the rotisserie chicken sandwich specifically. Yeah. And so what I thought I could whiteboard diagram for you all today and now translate also into rotisserie chicken is
Where is this going?
in the real world, people don't understand how the sauce was applied to the rotisserie chicken. And what I'm planning to do is explain exactly how the sauce was applied to the chicken.
Was it applied by gravity? Was there a lance?
Well. In the comment you made earlier, Alison, saying you assume all of the text will be read,
Yes.
was very interesting to me.
I'm glad.
Because in the Graviton Lance law,
Yes.
it specifies
Uh-huh.
Chicago
Indeed.
as a pertinent location. And the Graviton Lance works the way it works. We've used the weapon
Sure.
for many years. I'm pretty sure it's a pretty old weapon. At
I
this
love
point.
it. It's wonderful.
And seems like we're not the only people that love it. It's had some other uses over the years as
Scaro
well.
loves Graviton Lance.
Yeah, so-
the meme loves Graviton Lance. Anybody can use Graviton Lance.
Round
Anybody
Oh my
could.
God.
So here's my plan.
Okay.
With your blessing, I would like to draw some chickens. And I would then like to show how in our present universe, the chickens don't really make immediate sense to an untrained observer. And I would then like to explain how, with a little bit of gravitational shift, the chickens make a lot more sense.
Yes. I would love to see some fourth dimensional chickens.
Let's go. All right.
But Allison,
Well,
what's
are we going to be? Are the chickens on top of a grassy knoll?
I have
Is it a
grassy
single
knoll,
chicken?
you say.
Yeah.
Well, I have multiple angles that I would like to describe the chickens from.
Let's go.
I will have to find the eraser, because I will not be able to just scrub out the chickens. How do I? Oh, is it? Oh. No, okay. Give me technical chicken difficulties.
We are professionals here, so I'm going to tap dance while we figure this out. Cosmo is somewhere in the room. I'm sorry for whatever comes out of this. You're going to have to read all the tweets and all the responses about these fourth dimensional chickens. All right? Thank you. Oh, something's happening here. That didn't look like a chicken.
Okay, that's fine.
This is the Nine's first attempt at a chicken.
That was the Zur of chickens, yes.
It was the Zur of chickens.
My protein is not my own.
Oh, that's still a rectangle. Okay, we're nearly there, folks. So. Why can I not get a line? Oh, we're all squares now. Okay, apparently the 9 can only draw chickens in squares.
Honestly, that tracks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Tracks.
Canon.
So, and the delete button is no longer working either. This is really going swimmingly. So, this is not a chicken. Okay? Ignore the left and middle shapes here. We'll find a use for them in a minute. We're gonna improvise. This is not a chicken. This is actually a container of 4 chickens. For reasons that will become clear. Maybe they're already clear to you all. So, if you were to join a series of chickens together with a condiment of your choice,
I'm so lost on the metaphor.
a typical approach might be to just lather the chickens with the condiment and be on your merry way. In reality, it is not that easy. What actually happened on that fateful day in 1963 when the rotisserie chicken was purchased was that and boy was it purchased. The condiment started just here. On this side of the chicken. And this is where things get very confusing, folks, because it started there, but it ended up sort of mysteriously emerging just here from this chicken. And this was odd, just as a starting point.
This is starting to look like your argument.
No, we're here now.
Tearing,
we're all
and Salt is probably somewhere out here being like, yeah, Milo, keep trying.
Oh, it gets worse. It gets worse.
Oh, boy.
The condiment emerged. But then somehow it ended up going over here to the right armpit of the second chicken. Then the condiment emerged from the front chest area of the chicken and seemingly redirected to this chicken's arm. So there's a chicken leg actually that's here. I'm not sure if
I
chickens
see
have
it
arms.
really
I think
clear.
that's-
No,
This is a really special chicken.
It is.
concept art. It doesn't have to be final.
So
Very Mondrian.
we're joining the condiment. It goes into the arm of the chicken, but the other side of the arm of the chicken. It then reverts out of the arm of the chicken, and there's a leg of chicken here, and the condiment enters the leg of this chicken. Now this is a technical diagram of a chicken, solely of a chicken. So, as I'm sure you would agree, this is an unlikely path for a condiment to take over a pair of chickens.
Indeed.
Yes.
All right. So
So,
consider the graviton lance. How many chickens are in that car?
a car?
cannot wait to get back to the studio, and they're going to be like, "You pulled a narrative
What the hell
director,
did you
and
do?"
I mean, this could, maybe it's a charity emblem in the future." Oh boy! All right, Allison, please save us.
Okay. Abandoning our metaphor and treating it instead as art, which is lovely.
Thank you.
Lovely
Yep.
art, lovely art.
Appreciate it.
When we're talking about what was the specific knife that was used to make the chicken sandwich that day, I don't think that we can be conclusive, because if it were to be Graviton Lance, that whole car of chickens, they probably wouldn't have had a great time, right?
Well, I have some paths that we can examine here on this point.
I'm so glad.
The kitchen cupboards is something that you neglected when you were talking about the fridge.
A fool!
Yes,
A fool I
a
am.
true fool, because that fridge may be stacked with narrative devices.
Yes.
But if you don't look at your silverware drawer, then what are you doing? You can't eat the food.
It's true.
So,
How are you feeling, Hannah?
I'm loving it. I'm having a great time.
Oh my!
I can't laugh hard enough.
I really wish I could draw anything other than squares right now. Like the button just won't work.
No, I really
can do-
love how modernist this is.
Yes, we're really
Beneath are many
developing.
layers of metaphor.
So, yes, imagine your currently understood condiment applicator
Yes.
is somewhere over here.
Okay.
Perhaps in a nearby sixth floor of a building.
Yes. Yes. Yeah.
And imagine the condiment is being applied at range.
Yeah.
And actually, the chickens have just turned a corner.
Yeah.
And there's now a tree partially obstructing
Yeah.
the view. So it's
Buck
getting.
Harvey Oswaddle is awaiting.
There's something happening over there.
Yeah.
So
I will not get out of this.
it would be a fair comment to make.
Yes.
That it's starting to look like this is a difficult path to follow for this condiment.
Indeed.
Because in my line of lines, it would be going like this, and then it would be changing direction like this, and then it would be changing direction up here, and then it would be going to the side again, and then it would be going to the side again. That's a bit of a zigzag for a condiment, not one that a condiment often follows.
Yeah.
So, the graviton lance,
Yes.
in being able to create a little miniature black hole, might hypothetically
Yes.
be able to warp space-time a little bit, change the path, make it a little non-Euclidean, such that a condiment being applied
Yes.
might, in our usual normal world, look like it was going on a little zigzag, but in this newly shaped bit of space-time, might be heading straight as a bullet, you could say.
Indeed. You could say that. You could.
I wouldn't say that.
Of course not.
But
Of course
one
not.
could.
I think the trick
Yeah.
is that blueprint that we saw on Dr. Davis's wall was for the creation of Graviton Lance, not for a weapon that already existed.
Right.
Therefore,
Then things get stranger.
yeah.
Because that means they used the graviton lance and they went back in time.
Damn it. Yeah, damn it. You got
Okay,
it.
that's
You got
probably
it.
not what happened there.
But what we haven't considered
Oh, please tell me.
is that there's another gun that does
A gun?
follow.
What are they doing to the chicken?
Oh, we're
might
talking
call it-
about mayonnaise now.
One might call it a kitchen appliance
Thank you. Oh,
that follows
we're so
people
back.
around corners.
whoa. Okay, I'm on board with this now. Yep.
It has a name. It's called Jotun.
A toaster has entered the conversation. Are we going to talk about bread now?
Yeah, we're talking bread.
So, I think this has been a wonderful exercise in
Hold on,
showing
hold on.
how Scarrow is wrong. Correct?
Correct.
I see you.
I think that the 30-second closer on the graviton lance is that it is interesting that it's Chicago related.
Yes.
But maybe that means it's just still in the fridge. Maybe that means it's an object to apply to the chickens on another day, much as they've already been harassed enough. But they really have been. But yes, that does seem to indicate then that there is something else at play here.
Yeah.
And this is something that I want to talk about in chicken terms and in terms of the Destiny story.
Yes.
In chicken terms, I love the fact that there can be so much mystery around a chicken, and you can seize that, the almost fantastical nature of that from real life, and say, how do we then play with that creatively in a story, and how do we take that endless mystery and use it to enhance this endless universe that we've made, right? And
Yeah.
I love that that's something you're doing.
Yeah, that's exactly it.
But does that mean that we're going to be seeing what if the Titanic crashed because of Telesto? And like what if maybe the dinosaurs happened because, well, there was just like a solar grenade that was just like really crazy and it made
Sunshine.
the atmosphere blow up. And you see what I'm saying? Like where?
Yeah.
How far can I expect this to go? Because my foot is on the gas. Like I'm ready to go down that road.
Speculation being on the gas is totally fine. We encourage that. Like, go have fun. As far as like what we're going to see like in game and confirmed, sadly, I don't think we're going to go too far down that route. Because as soon as we do, it kind of makes things a little bit like too winky. Everything is destiny and all of it hurts. Like it's not really that fun anymore. But like having those like brief moments and brief reminders of, oh wait, this world is different from ours. That is something that we're excited by. The history of Destiny is not the same history as ours. Their past is not quite the same as the one that we live in. And we think that difference is the exciting one. Not necessarily running through our laundry list of kitchen appliances and trying to say like, oh, and this thing is gonna, like it's...
And then the blender.
Exactly. It's the same reason why we really don't want to go down the rabbit hole of the 9 shaped everything over again, because that also feels like negating our agency as players, right? And so when we use those connections, we want to be really clever about it and make sure that it's for a purpose. The purpose of bringing up, hey, what if JFK the chicken was
JFK?
engaged with an alien kitchen appliance? That's interesting.
Kentucky Fried Chicken.
Oh no. You've coined that now. We're on stage, by the way.
So to everyone in chat, thank you. I'm sorry. Thank you very much.
Just as a one final 10-second note as well, having newly joined the Destiny community this year, you guys are awesome, man. The game itself is fantastic, but it's really enhanced by just all the cool people that I've been meeting here that just are so in love with the game and so in love with this amazing community. So give yourselves a round of applause, because you did that. It's good stuff. I appreciate you guys.
Thank you all so much for being here. Thank you for playing, and thank you for engaging with the story. It means the world to us. It means so much. Appreciate this to you. Thank you.